Yeah, so we just made, like, I guess the best record we knew how to make on our own, and we did things kind of backwards. We made the record first, and then we tried to put the band together and put the name together, and I personally wanted a name that was just so different, so out there, so outrageous. I remember my personal litmus test was thinking back to bands like the Red Hot Chili Peppers or Hootie and the Blowfish. Although we don't sound anything like those bands, it's just something about those names makes you want to know who the band is before you even hear the music.
Yeah, I was watching a movie and out of nowhere, this cat pulls out this little miniature flight case full of sushi. I think we were all at Dax's house actually when it happened.
We were all watching the movie together.
Yeah, we were watching the movie together, just hanging out. The concept of that was just ridiculous, so I just made fun of it, and then instantly, like, this light bulb goes off.
Mikey said something like, Flight Case For Sushi, that sounds like a great band name, and I remember instantly saying, I think that's a terrible band name at first.
Yeah, I hated it at first.
And I think I remember saying, that's the band name. Flight Case For Sushi.
Dax liked it so much, he thinks he came up with it.
And I was like, guys, remember that name, Flight Case For Sushi, that I came up with? Let's go with that, man.
Yeah.
That's a great name. Everybody else hated it.
I went to GoDaddy.com that night and totally registered it, so sorry, buddy.
But I remember, like, months and months later waking up and like a stroke of genius, I was like, that's it, that's just it.
I remember there were like times you would just call up and we'd go back for like, dude, I know it's 3 a.m., but like, what do you think about the name? Or, dude, I gotta go to sleep.
In a scene where everybody takes themselves so seriously, you know, it was kind of refreshing. Obviously, we took the record serious, but, you know, the name kind of really is the opposite of that, you know? I mean, it lets people know that we don't take ourselves that
It's that
seriously.
nice yin and yang that you're always trying to get. We're kind of like Schlotzsky's of rock and roll, really. It's like, you know, funny name, serious band.
Yeah.
They're
Hot beats, cool treats.
As soon as we put our MySpace page up, kids were writing in, 13-year-old kids, it's the coolest name I've ever heard, or, you know, I only listen to you guys out of a sea of 1,000 bands because of your band name. And to us, it was just, you know, I don't want to say validation, but it was like, hey, we did good. It made sense. It made sense to us, first of all, and having people take to it was just, you know, the icing on the cake.
I'm still kind of bummed it's not Mikey and the Cruisers, but I mean,
Well, that's next.
that's your mistake. So
Yeah, so.
Mikey's Mr. Personality.
there's hillbillies! There's hillbillies! Just keep running!
He's the class clown for sure.
100 miles an hour, 100% of the time.
Energy, non-stop.
Mikey straight up made being in a band fun for me again.
Never a dull moment. You never know what to expect.
Awesome drummer.
Awesome drummer.
He is a drummer in every sense of the word.
He's the guy that everybody wants to meet.
He's the only guy I know that actually likes Stryper.
It's just always entertaining with Mikey.
His brain is full of useless pop culture knowledge.
He's always there for you. He's a good guy. He'll give you a shirt off his back.
He's got an old school swagger to him. He's got some style. He's absolutely good to have in your back pocket on a rainy day.
It's 100 miles an hour, nonstop, from the time he wakes up in the morning till the time he goes to bed, if he sleeps.
Big fan of like 50s and 60s, anything melodic like the Beatles, Buddy Holly, the Everly Brothers, stuff like that. Then I got into 80s metal, like Priest, Sabotage, Riot. My dad was really into all that stuff. And then when I got to my sculpting years of like being a teenager, I guess I stumbled upon the hooks and poppiness of the 50s, but then the speed of metal and whatnot. So that's when I found like this punk sound, and it was like all the SoCal punk bands like Strung Out and No Use for a Name and Good Riddance and a lot of those MXPX, a lot of bands like that. So when I first joined the band, I had no place to stay, and luckily I had a buddy of mine who had a spare laundry room, so I had to make do with what I had. And he was nice enough to let me crash here. This is where we keep all our guitars for the metal band that also lives here. There's 7 dudes living in this house, so, and all of them are in metal, as you can tell. That's one of them. It's our mascot. Yeah. Most people believe in doors. Nah, sheets are fine. Yeah, a closet. It's fun. And yeah, I just spend many hours contemplating, you know, the next Flight Case For Sushi record. What I'm gonna do, what I'm gonna wear. I'm from the Gulf Coast of Texas, and you know I gotta keep my surfing with me.
So the 3 songs, This Is a Fire, Panic Mode, and It Was a Setup, are all a trilogy. All 3 songs tell a story in that order. on this record, and it's basically about a young couple that got together, a boyfriend and girlfriend. Typical American story. The girl got pregnant, they ended up getting married because that was the right thing to do. And their relationship was never right. They always had problems. They were fighting constantly, but trying to stay together, obviously, for the daughter. And then one night, the guy just loses it and takes off out of the house.
Fire actually picks the story up. After the argument, the guy goes to a nightclub, and there's a big fire, and a lot of people get trapped inside and injured. And he actually dies in the fire.
Panic Mode is basically the story of the wife and daughter of that couple. They end up going out of town to see some relatives, and they take a train to get there. Unfortunately, the train derails and everyone on board dies, including the wife and daughter.
So now you have this couple that couldn't resolve their problems on Earth, and it got so bad to where they both die in the same night. And it's kind of God's way of saying, my plan for you two were to be together, and you defied this plan. So if you're not going to be together on Earth, then you'll be together in the afterlife. So the setup is kind of telling that story and that resolution, and brings in elements about the kid and kind of brings the whole thing to a close.
There's so many different layers of storyline involved in all the songs. And also the story in between, it's not really a story, but it's a visual. The track called The Ascension is in between the setup and Panic Mode. It's very airy, almost heavenly.
It's the Ascension. It's them going up into heaven.
Ty is one of the most interesting, quiet people you'll ever meet.
Well, he's the gentle giant.
He definitely says the least in the band, but when he speaks, it's direct, intelligent, and usually right to the point.
I think he's a robot.
Captain responsible.
Don't tell anybody. I think he's over there. He may be off in the woods somewhere, but
He loves chicken, he loves salad, but he hates condiments.
He works out, he eats a lot of protein.
Skynet sent him back in time to be in this band.
He wins a lot of Halloween costume contests. We're never allowed to play on October 31st. Never.
He's just gonna rip off his face and be like, "Rah."
If you need to find Ty, there's a gym somewhere in Nashville where he'll be at working out.
Ty is also a world champion kickboxer.
He's always prepared. He knows where everything is.
He's kind of my bodyguard when I go out at night. When he opens up, he's got quite the sense of humor.
And by the way, he's a robot. He runs programs.
Well, after I wore out my first Vanilla Ice tape, my old man actually bought me some decent records. He got me Pantera, Megadeth, and Jimi Hendrix. Those are my first 3 CDs. And he started taking me to concerts when I was like 12, 13 years old. Mostly it was like Slayer concerts, Biohazard, real heavy stuff. And then when I got into playing music, you know, I got into the alternative scene, a little bit of Nirvana and all that. And when I really got serious about playing bass, I started getting into a lot of funk, you know, just because of the great players that are in that scene. You know, all those influences have kind of really, I guess, opened my mind to the different styles of playing.
My name's Ty. I don't say much, but it's fun. I like crazy. It's a good time.
Yeah, I love this guy. What about something else?